Good afternoon, everyone. This afternoon, we're going to pretend to be in front of a commission and we're going to talk about my actual topic in the Concorso 2 years ago. You will notice that many times I will use Italian words, especially referring to laws, for example, or words as this one I just used, like Concorso. This is because we're in Italy and there are some words that specifically mean kind of stuff that we just have in Italy. So I would say let's start. I'm going to improvise, of course, because I can't remember what I actually said during my oral presentation. But we're going to watch together the presentation for AB24, AB24, which is high school, as you all know. Of course, it can be adapted also to AB25. So the topic we're going to talk about today is a functional one, which is called on the phone. This is an overview of what we're going to talk about. And I will start from, let's say, the social context. I imagined an actual class where I taught a couple of years ago. It was an industrial technical institute where the school managers were very focused on technology. Of course, that's the main topic of this kind of school. It's in the north of Rome, but it has a very peculiar background because you can find students which are very, very good at technology, but also a good percentage of them who chose that school because they really didn't know where to go. So it's really, really very mixed as a social context. So I imagined a third year of this IT section, quite mixed, but with the majority of males. There were really a few girls, but very good at technology. The SEFR level was mostly B1, but there were some, as usual. There's also very mixed levels, so some of them were a little bit more, and some of them were a little bit less. But let's say the average was actually B1. I imagine this lesson to happen in the mid of first term, and I divided it into a couple of lessons. This kind of students in this kind of school get bored very, very easily. They are used to use the phone every time, and they keep it in their pocket. Sometimes in a pause they take it and play with it, so it's really, really very difficult to catch their attention. They tend to form fixed groups, and of course there are special education needs and also disabilities and specific learning disorders. So I considered the actual class, which had one and one. They were, of course, because of their kind of school, they're really, really good at using technology. And in my class, they were used to do tests and also official tests online, on computers or on their mobiles. So what is the main focus in my classes in general and in this lesson plan? There are a lot of things involved, but of course the first one, the most important one, I think, is students' motivation. Also because we said they get easily bored. So what I usually do, apart from, of course, working on in the zone of proximal development, I really use the concept regarding the deep processing principles. So many connections between what they're studying, what they're supposed to study, and their actual life. How does this concept relate to other concepts that I have studied? And how is this different? And how can I relate this concept to my personal experience? This makes the difference. And of course, how am I expected to use or apply this concept? So let's learn something, but let's learn something that I really need in life. So let's take the topic and let's put it into real life. That's why I usually ask them to, their opinions or their own materials, or perhaps, subjects. Or what are their favorite subjects, or some topics they're interested in. I try to take their motivation in the class, and that's also, of course, a personalization of the lesson. Of course, the individualization is very easy, and when you are doing this kind of work, because if everyone can put what they would like to talk about in the topic you are studying, that's easier, of course. And again, of course, we will use differentiation in methods, time, content, and process, as the law 104 from 1992, the one about special education needs and disabilities. We have to respect all that the law says. So all this will be in the lesson plan. Also, peer-to-peer is very useful, but let's go on and focus on what we're going to see in this lesson plan. There is a big role of technology in this lesson plan. There's a lot of technology, and it's transversal, because technology brings motivation, brings inclusion, but also helps the teacher with assessment. There are a lot of tools that technology can help with in a lesson plan. You find them here. Of course, feel free to stop me whenever you think it's too much, because I always have a B plan in case I cannot use technology for some reason. Okay, there's always a B plan. Always about technology, we're going to use, let's say, the first three steps of the SAMR model, which is substitution, augmentation, modification, or redefinition. So we are gradually including technology inside processes and procedures in the class. This regards, of course, the La Legge della Buona Scuola, created which came out in 2015, but also we will ask them to bring their own device, as the Action 6 talks about. Let's go on. Of course, this kind of lesson plan touches 5 out of 4 key competence for lifelong skills. So it's quite complete, and also will regard all the 4 skills that the Common European Framework works on. Okay, so what are the aims of this lesson? What are they going to learn? They will be able to use the phone in informal and formal conversations. Of course, they have already studied modal verbs, present continuous, future, and conditional. Let's remember that we're talking about a B1, so an intermediate level. So we will also, do a step forward, and you will see that in the lesson plan there is also a touch of educazione civica. Sorry about this. Okay, you will find here 2 of, let's say, my favorite quotes. One is from Krashen, who I really love, and the other one is from Harmer. If you want your student to learn English, don't teach language, focus on content, and language will follow. If we think about this, what we have to do in the class is do something. Okay, get them to work, get them to speak, and language and the development of language will follow. Also, I love the filtro affettivo by Krashen because I think the low anxiety situations are really, really productive in class. So Harmer and Krashen go together very well. So starting from them, let's see finally what the lesson plan is about. So we have 2 days. I always start with a warm up. In this case, the warm up will last 5 minutes. As you can see at the bottom, you can see the role of the teacher changes during the lesson, as the role of the student as well. So this is a rhythm that changes. We will see at the end of this presentation why the rhythm has to change. Let's begin with a warm-up. So whenever I introduce a new topic, I like to play games and to make them guess what we're going to talk about. So I don't know if you're familiar with word rodeo, which is very nice way to guess words, because it actually takes out the words they already know. They need to guess a word. They have 5 attempts to guess the word, and they really love it. They always ask for more, but of course, in all games you have to know where to stop. So after this warm-up, it's the engagement part. So I chose a very nice video, which is about several situations in movies. So it's something they're familiar with, famous actors, famous movies, situations where there are very quick phone conversation, and actually it's engaging, it's very fast, but also it shows you several situations where you actually use the phone. Then we begin to go deeper. So let's reflect, let's talk about it. We can do it just talking, or we can, for example, take the students with the ADHD to the interactive whiteboard and give them a job actually while we're discussing what are the situations when we use conversation or text message, or reasons you use your mobile phone. Let's reflect, what are the situations? Well, today we know that the phone is used for actually everything. So it's a good discussion, because you put them there to reflect what they actually do with them, what they split up also on the phone. So it's a very nice discussion. This was done with the Jamboard. Jamboard is not active anymore in Google Workspace, but of course there are a lot of alternatives. So once we have commented, discussed on all the situations connected to the phone use, okay, let's say start with the activation. We have a game here. It's not actually a game. I use a lot of quizzes in the class because it gives immediate feedback to them and to the teacher as well. So this is an individual exercise. Okay, it's an exercise. It's not on the book. It's on quizzes, so they love it, but they're actually doing a normal exercise. Then there is another game, which is the wheel. This is on WordWall. I usually split the class into 2 groups, but for every group, single students will talk. So I usually make everyone talk in the class at least once inside a lesson. The same kind of exercise can be also used as homework. I usually give them the same one, so they can practice at home. So a part that I usually like a lot, and they also like a lot, it's a challenge. Challenge the teacher is another part of the activation. The activation part. It's a challenge that I give them of course, to do as a homework. In this case, I thought about something using Flipgrid, but of course, you can also do this on a notebook. But this is way more fun because they need to pretend a one-sided phone call. So I put an example of a one-sided phone call, and they will have to create. Everyone will have to create a one-sided phone call. And so it's a kind of game, because on Flipgrid you can put a like and you can comment, and they actually have the rest of the class is engaged, because they have to guess who the actual classmate is talking to. So this is also fun. So if I have time, not always, it's useful to do a wrap up about what they actually think about the lesson, if they think they have learned something. When I have time, I do this with a Google form. So this is the first part, the day one. So we'll start the second part of the lesson on another day, with a follow-up of the challenge the teacher game with a one-sided call, and then we start the second part. So the activation is another YouTube video. This was a very nice video that I found about this, with a call to customer service where a man heard a song that loved in an airplane, and he calls the customer service to know the title of this song. So it's very weird. It's engaging, because you really don't understand where the video is going. So I will let them see the video, but I won't show the end, and you'll see why in the end. Then the production, we will divide the students in perform group, and they will have to create a call to customer service. This is a group work. This is about functions. This, as I mentioned at the beginning, is also a way that touches educazione civica, because we're trying to be very polite. We're trying to remember here that we have to respect people working in call centers and customer services. So in this group, everyone will have a function, of course. 2 students will focus on the operator, 2 students on the client, and 1, of course, will do the rest. And I will say that, 40 minutes are definitely enough. We have a second part of the lesson where, of course, we will listen to the production, and where we also will have a discussion of what can be done differently, if there were any mistakes in polite communication, for example. Of course, the discussion is always in English. We will take 10 minutes to sum up, to wrap up, and to learn to learn what is the best way to communicate with others with the customer service. And we will see the end of the video, which is really curious. I won't spoil it, but it's lovely. They all love it. So this is actually the lesson plan, the first and the second part. So we will start individually, and then we will end up with a group work. So we're touching a lot of stuff in this case. Let's have a look at the materials we used. We have Wordle, word cloud, YouTube video, quizzes, fortune wheel. Most of them are already inclusive. Some of them, which are not, like quizzes, I just create, for example, in quizzes, I just create a different exercise with more time. When they use the book, I usually use a mind map for students who need them. About the YouTube video, that sometimes can be a problem for special education needs, I show them the video in advance so they can, they already know what we're going to talk about. And in the group work, as I already mentioned, I always give the kids with special education needs a specific role so that they feel attention on them, but also they don't distract, which is actually the better way to have a quiet class. So there are different methodologies involved and approaches involved in this kind of lesson plan. Of course, the engage, study, activate. We've seen that we have these three steps in this lesson plan. And then we have TEAL, technology enhanced advanced learning. We talked about the summer model. And then a lot of communicative language teaching. I want them to speak. I really want them to speak. That's the first thing. It's all learner-centered, of course. And a special mention to connectivism, which is a theory and an approach that teaches us that we learn not only in school but in many contexts. And as we are in a digital era, students really learn from everything they get in touch with, which is also the mobiles, which is also video games. This is very important. We need to take it into consideration at school, in class. There is also a part that needs to be considered. There are the problems that could come out during a lesson, loss of concentration or internet not working. As I said, I usually have a B plan for any situation. For example, loss of concentration is very easy in this kind of class with all these mobiles on their desks. So that's why my class is very fast and changes rhythm. Assessment is very important. All of it, but the formative assessment, the continuous observation, it has to happen every minute. It's important because it's not just about a vote. So it's just not about a mark. Sorry, not about a mark. For example, I like to use quizzes because I actually see what's going on while they're doing the exercise. This is how I assess them while we are explaining something and then doing exercise. The students' feedback is as important as the assessment, because if you give them space, they will tell you. If you don't ask, they won't tell you that haven't understand something. So you have to ask. And of course, self-assessment can be very useful. But we're talking about self-assessment. We're talking about the teacher self-assessment. So we really need to ask ourselves, wonder if we passed the actual concept, if they actually learned, if we actually reached the aim that we prefixed at the beginning of the class. This is actually also a very important key for success. That was it. Thank you for your attention.